So welcome to APCUG's Wednesday workshop, where you get a little bit of technology at your breakfast time for those in the West and lunchtime for those of us in the East. I'm really glad to have you all here. We are now starting our second year with these Wednesday workshops, and we have 2 more coming this month. Next week will be our Learning Linux workshop. And then at the end of the month, we have a double header where we're going to talk about an alternative to Facebook called MeWe, and we're going to have a repeat of our workshop that we all didn't get into because of a little technical difficulty on being secure online. And then we already have started plans for the next month and into the summer. Judy and I came up with some new ideas. So today, I'm glad to have with us Judy Tallur, who will be assisting with questions, and Bill James, who will be assisting with any kind of problems and backing up. During his presentation, Larry's going to share with us information about WYZE and security cameras. If you have questions, send them to Judy. After his presentation, she will then toss the questions out to him for answering. When we're done with the questions that she has, we will again open up things for our Q&A. At that time, we will allow mics to be turned on when you need to, and to be able to ask questions, use the raise hand button that you find at the bottom of your screen or in the reaction. Click on that, and then that way puts you at the top of the list so we know whose questions are coming up. So Larry's Fortnoy is here with us again. He's from Leesburg, Florida, and he's going to change hats today from a Mac group to a security group. So Larry, I'm just going to turn things over to you today. And if you want to, people, while the presentation's on, turn off your mics because people are watching you, especially if you're eating. You can do so and then turn them back on after the presentation.
That would be, you might want to turn off your video.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can see what you're doing the whole entire. There, John Kramer's right, nodding his head. Yes, we can see what you're doing when the presentation is going on, if we're using a certain view. So if you don't want us to watch you, turn your video off for now.
All right, I guess we're going to start it off here. This presentation is on security systems. I call it a security automation cookbook because we can put a lot of different ingredients together to make a different type of security system based on your needs. Currently, I am administering 21 cameras, 41 at at a clubhouse in the community where I live, and 7 in my home. I'm going to turn on screen sharing here. I'm also playing with some new technology today. Something called TinyCam, which allows me to switch views. So I'm going to switch over my sharing here. And you should all now see my security automation cookbook with a link below that you can use to download the PDF file from this presentation, because there's a lot of stuff in here that a lot of screenshots as we go through the presentation. And if you have the PDF file and you want to try to do some of the things that we're going to do here today, this will be very helpful. Normally, as John said, I'm a Mac guy and an Apple guy, but some of the technology that we're going to use today is for the Android system. In fact, a good part of it is. So I have a couple of Android phones that I use for testing. I have a couple of iPhones that I use for testing and a couple of iPads that I use. So I can switch around and try different things. So The first thing I want to talk about is the hardware and the software ingredients that we could use to make a home security system. In its probably its most simple form, if you just wanted to use a WYZE security camera, that would really be all that you would need. But if you want to spice it up and do a lot of other things with it, which you'll learn about today, you might want to invest in some of these other things that are on the list. For instance, a dedicated Android smartphone, which is what I use at nighttime to monitor our clubhouse. Or if you have a dedicated PC, you can run some software called Bluestacks. We'll talk about that later, which allows you to run Android applications on your PC, whether it be Windows or Mac. If you do use the WYZE security cameras, you probably want a SD card to capture the video. And they sell these with, you can get a 32 gigabyte SD card for them. If you have an Amazon account and you have an Amazon Echo, you can use routines to trigger things and tell you about events that are happening. And if you have TP-Link switches, which are Wi-Fi switches that are Alexa enabled, or WYZE plugs, you can trigger lights to turn on and off based on things that are going on in your security system. So software-wise, Bluestacks, if you want to run this on your PC, the WYZE smartphone app, which is free, and Alexa smartphone app, if you're going to use that. If you use the Wi-Fi switches, there's an app for that called Kasa. And TinyCam PRO, we're going to talk about extensively, is a $3.99 piece of software for your Android operating system. And Tasker, which really sells for $3.49, but most of the functions are free. You really don't even have to spend $3.49. And then we're going to talk about IFTTT. You may already know about that. It stands for if this, then that. It's a website. They give you 3 applets for free. But if you want to do more than that, you need a subscription, which is $39.99 a year. The WYZE cameras have a subscription service as well, and it works out to be about $15 a year. And that allows you to do person, pet, vehicle detection per camera. But if you don't want to spend that kind of money, I'm going to show you how TinyCam PRO can do the same thing. So the supporting apps, again, are WYZE, Kasa, Alexa, IFTTT, Telegram. Haven't talked about that one yet, for notifications, and Tasker, which is another new program we're going to talk about, which can be used for IFTTT trigger automation. This is the family of WYZE products, not complete, just the camera section, security portions. This company is going gangbusters with coming out with new products almost weekly, it seems. And they started out with the V2 cameras, which are now marked as out of stock on their website. I have a feeling they've phased them out. At the time, they were also selling sense switches, which you see over here. This is a motion sensor, and then these guys here are door senses, door switches that can sense your door opening and closing. And this is a hub that you plug into the back of your V2 camera to operate those. I'm hoping they're not going to do away with those because I find them very useful. They have an outdoor camera, which is battery operated and has a transmitter that has to be used with it. And you can have multiple outdoor cameras connected to that one Wi-Fi extender there. They also make a cam pan. I think the price was actually $29.99 on this. And this rotates and goes up and down, but does not zoom. And their latest entry is the WYZE CAM V3, which you'll see a lot of today. Currently selling for $19.99, but the price is going to go up probably this month. They didn't include shipping with that, and the new pricing structure will include shipping. And I'm thinking it's probably going to come in around the $30 mark somewhere with shipping and everything. They also make a bulb, LED bulb, WYZE bulb, that you can turn on with your WYZE cameras. And they have a WYZE plug that you can plug a lamp or something into and control that with the WYZE camera through motion detection and rules. And they also sell their SD card for the camera, which is you can actually find cheaper. But this is their $10 32 gigabyte card. Software-wise, this is a few screenshots of the WYZE app, which is currently running on a smartphone. I wanted to point out a few things that the WYZE camera does. It has the ability to talk and listen. So you can speak into have the camera talk when you speak, or you can have sound turned on so you can listen to your camera. It also has a playback capability to view your recordings, which are kept continuously if you have the SD card installed. And so you can scrub through the timeline and go back and see what's happening at different points in time. You can also share your camera with your friends or relatives or whoever. A little caveat caution here: if you do share your cameras, those people that you share it with are able to turn your camera off, which we discovered when we shared our Clubhouse cameras with some of the members in the community. And I guess they got curious at 1 o'clock in the morning and accidentally turned the cameras off. So be aware, if you do share, the administrative functions are locked out, but you still can turn the cameras on and off. WYZE also includes something called rules and shortcuts, which allow you to set up rules or shortcuts to do different things. They also have a built-in Siren, and the Siren is quite loud. And if you go to this screen over here on your camera, you can activate the Siren by just touching this icon. Or you can do like I have done here in the middle screen, and I have created a shortcut which turns on the Siren in all of my cameras. So in the case of a Clubhouse where we have 14 cameras, not all of them are inside, some are outside. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I verify that we have an intruder in our Clubhouse, I'm going to go click on this button right here, and that's going to activate the sirens inside and outside. And that should certainly get the attention of whoever might be trying to do something nefarious. I also have the ability to turn on the lighting in the clubhouse. I can either do that through the Kasa app, or I can have my cameras do motion detection and do that automatically for me. So I talked very briefly about the subscription service, which works out to be about $15 a year. It's called the CAM Plus. And with the CAM Plus, you get the capability to identify persons, pets, and vehicles, as well as motion, which makes it a whole lot easier to scan through and see what is taking place in your events. And yeah, let's go on to the next screen. This is a GIF file, and I would suggest you take a snapshot with your phone or something to get these links, and you can download this GIF file for a Mac. If you're on a Mac and you open a GIF file in preview, you can actually step through it just like it were a PDF or like a PowerPoint presentation. But if you're on Windows, it's just going to play this as a GIF file. So I've created a MP4 video file that you could be able to pause and stop it. But this particular file will step you through setting up person detection routines through the Alexa app. And I may come back if you'll remind me, and I'll actually run through this entire step here so that you see what happens. Maybe we should do that now. Let's see. Let me just quickly see if I can pull this up. Let's try. Actually, I think I have. Let's try cutting it over to here. All right. I forgot I got all these neat tools here to try out today. So this is a Mac with the GIF file in the preview application. So starting out from the Alexa app, you're going to go down to the devices, and then I'm clicking on my presentation instead of on the app itself. Let me get this up here. There we go. And then from there, you would go over and you would select one of your cameras. You could go to the cameras icon. And I think I just stepped too far. Let me get this back up here where I can get to it. Okay, from there, you would pick one of your cameras, and depending on how many cameras you would have a list of those cameras down here. And then the next screen you would get would allow you to edit the name. And if you check this little checkbox right over here, you can have person detection announcements come out on your devices. So that is that option. Once you've checked the person detection, your next step would be to scroll down and enable it, and then go click the More button. And then from there, you would go to Routines. And then you would do Create a new routine. And the first step would be to enter a routine name. And the second step would be to click on the plus button over here to when this happens, and you're going to tell it what you want to happen. And third, you're going to add an action. So I've named my routine, turn on light, and then I click on the next button. And the next step is to click on when this happens, the plus button here. And the next step is to go to your smart home icon. And from that, you will pick one of your cameras. You'll choose one of your devices. In our case, we had 14 cameras to pick from. And now this is a little caveat. If you do not have the CAM Plus subscription, you cannot do this. The WYZE has figured out that most everybody wants to be able to trigger routines, and so they disable that unless you have the CAM Plus subscription. So provided you have that, you're able to go further. So in my case, I'm saying that when the ice machine camera detects a person, I'm going to click the Save button. And then we have an option to say when we want to monitor this. So the first step would be to go to any time and hit the change button. Pardon me. And then click on the Add Action. So when you click on the time, you have an option to select the days of the week and a start and an end time, and for how long you wish to suppress running this event a second time. In my case at home, I have a person detection set up at my front door, and so I suppress that running that for 20 minutes after somebody comes to the door, so I don't have the repeated triggers. Now you come down to the action part. And again, we're going to the smart home icon. And then we're going to click on all devices. And this time we're going to pick a light. So I have the TP-Link light switches set up at the clubhouse, for example. And I can pick a light that I want to turn on. And then the next step is to say, well, do I want the light to turn on or do I want it to turn off? And the last step is be sure you hit the Save button. And this will save your routine and it will be enabled and active. Okay, so let's go back to my presentation. So again, if you download the either the GIF file or the MP4 file. You can go through that at your leisure. You never know what your camera will find. These cameras use infrared detection. And I had a ghost in my house for several years, and I had the house saged 4 or 5 times. I'm pretty sure I knew who the ghost was. And one night about 3 in the morning, I happened to get up to go to the bathroom, and I checked my cameras, and I saw this white orb out in my driveway. And I watched it for a couple of hours. And eventually I decided I was going to confront it. And so I went outside at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know if you can hear the sound or not. Maybe you can't, but my doors were opening, etc. And I am now going out here and trying to figure out if the infrared is causing a false trigger of some kind. But I noticed that as I kind of touch this thing, it gets agitated. And so now I'm trying to see, well, can I interrupt the light beam somehow? And now I'm feeling my head because this ghost has had a habit of doing spider webs on me. And it was doing that. And about here, I must have finally got to it. And I knocked it to the ground. And I'm looking for it, and it's gone. And that is the last time we ever had to deal with this ghost. We've not seen or had any issues with that ghost in the year since that happened. I could show you a lot of other camera sighting things that went on throughout that time period. I had a 13-pound box of that holds wires and stuff, plastic box. It was 7 foot high in my shed that got knocked off into a project I'd been working on that earlier in the day. This happened at 11 o'clock at night, just as I was getting ready to go to bed. And it took a 13-pound box, threw it 2.5 feet onto the project. And I have video of that along with a lot of other things. So the cameras may surprise you what they may pick up. So I talked about turning your lights on with a routine. And for that, I use TP-Link light switches. It used to be when I first set up my home and I replaced all my light switches. These were about $30-some a piece, $35 a piece. Now you can buy 3 for $36. And they also have a smart plug, which you can plug your appliances or whatever you might want to turn on and off. And I'm sure all of you probably have an Amazon Echo or two. I happen to have one in every room in my house and a few outdoors as well. And I'm trying to explain how I leverage some of that as well. For example, I have an Echo placed at my screen door up by my front door of my home. And I have a ramp that was there when we bought the house. And so I have a motion detector set up on the ramp. And if somebody walks up the ramp, it triggers the motion sensor. The motion sensor triggers an Alexa routine that tells the Amazon Dot that is also positioned at my front door. And it tells it to, hold on a moment. I triggered the keyword. So anyhow, it announces to the visitor at my front door that I already know that they're there and I will be with them shortly, or if they are delivering a delivery to leave it at the front door, I know that they are there. These are all the sorts of things that you can do with either the motion sensors or the WYZE cameras. This piece of software here is one of my favorites. This is a $4 application that you can install on any of your Google Android devices. It is a Swiss Army knife that does so much that it's going to take a while to get through and explain what all it can do. It has a web server that you can use to watch your cameras. You can watch live views, or you can put it into a background mode where it will monitor your cameras silently during the night, for example. It can also do person, pet, vehicle, and motion detection without paying the $14 or $15 a year subscription price that WYZE charges you. So you can do all of that with this $4 software on all of your cameras and not pay for the hefty subscription prices. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can use a dedicated smartphone to run your Android applications. And TinyCam Pro is an Android application. You cannot use it on an iOS device. I'm disappointed, but it is what it is. And so I bought a Galaxy Note 4 for about $70 on eBay. And I don't use it for cell service. It's just strictly for me to run Android applications on. If I wanted to play Android games or anything of that nature, or run any of these different tasks or programs that I'm going to be showing you, I can do all of that right on my phone and don't have to tie up my PC. Of course, the faster the processor and the more memory that it has, the better off you're going to be. But you can find these Galaxy Note 4s for about $70 on eBay. So this is what the TinyCam Pro Motion Live View looks like. So I have three of the camera views set up in portrait mode. If I turn the phone and put it in landscape mode, I can view 4 cameras at one time. This is the TinyCam Pro's main screen. I happen to have installed the beta version of it to test some of the new features. But it also has live view. It has a background mode. And I use background mode, like I said, at nighttime to monitor the events that happen at the clubhouse and also on my driveway at nighttime. Right now, at this particular picture you have here, manage cameras was selected, and over here to the right of that is the screen that you would see if you, oh, I'm sorry. To the right of you is what you would see if you kept scrolling down past settings. So settings here starts out at settings here and goes on down. So in the settings, you have the ability to turn on a web server, or you can turn your notifications on and off. You can also tag your cameras. So wherever you see the number 3 and the number 4 here, the number 9, you can tag your cameras to make it easier to group them and locate them by groups. So in this particular case, you would select your camera and select tags, and then go down here. There would be a listing of all of your tags, or you could create a new one if this is your first time in here. Again, going back to the settings screen, you have all of these capabilities. Every screen in TinyCam Pro has a question mark up in the upper right corner. So if you don't know how to do something, you can click on the help question mark, and it will tell you all about things that you can do on that particular screen. So if we continue to go down, you have video settings, audio settings, recording settings, detector settings, widget settings, watchdog, security settings. You can set up passcode for your app. You can have a cloud account, which is like WYZE, they charge additional if you want a cloud account. Or you can upload your motion events and stuff to an FTP account. You can do live streaming. You can use Telegram Messenger. And I want to talk about that also. Telegram is an app that's a little more difficult to set up. But if you do set up Telegram, you can invite your friends and neighbors or whoever you might want to, or have a need to see what's going on with your cameras. And when you get a trigger of some type of an event that you're looking for, it can send a photo of that event to your Telegram Messenger account, which can then send it to everybody that you have invited to view that. You can also send a photo of the event when it occurs to your email account. And you can run a web server, so you can watch your cameras from a web server. All of this for $4, and you can run it on as many Android devices as you have. So under the email account settings, you go in and you set up your email account, and it'll verify it, and then you're ready to use the email function. And under the web server, you can set up a administrator username and password, as well as a guest user and password. When you get into the recording settings, you have all of these particular options where you could, for instance, delete your recordings, your archive of recordings. But as you get over here into the detector settings, you can specify the detector device, which is your CPU, and how many detector thresholds, threads that you want to run. So if you've got a very powerful CPU on your device, you could select more threads, so it could be running multiple in the background. So all of these are different things that you can do with the object detection settings. So under the manage cameras, from here, I'm showing where you would click on, for example, lobby, and that would bring up this screen here. And you've got a camera status, which you could click on here, and it would show you the status of the camera, along with some information that you might need to set it up. I'll show you that in a bit. And then it also continues down to show you these things here. So under advanced settings, you're going to need to know what is the ID for your individual cameras. And so this was camera 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And under advanced settings, you need to make sure that that ID number gets set into your advanced settings. Now, once you've set up your first camera and you've got all the settings the way you like them, it's very easy to copy that camera and create your second one with all of those settings already set up for you. So you simply go in and click on copy. First, you click here and then you click on copy. And from your copy settings, it will bring up your camera name and the channel number. Again, the channel number is that individual number that goes with a camera, and it depends on the order in which they appear in your WYZE app. So if you change the order, you regroup them, or do something in your WYZE app to change the order, it's going to affect your TinyCam settings here. Just be aware of that. Let's see. So again, if you clicked on that settings, let me go back here. If you clicked on, let's go back another one. If you click on camera status, this is the screen that you would see. It would give you information about the number of frames, what its codec is, its resolution, and it would give you this identity number that goes with the camera along with the camera name, making it easy for you to determine what camera you should be using for your ID. And it also shows you a picture of the camera so that you know for sure that you've actually selected the correct one. Under the detectors settings, you have the ability to do in-app motion detection. So if you don't care about false triggers, in-app motion detection could be set, and you could also change the sensitivity and set up a mask for what areas you want to detect motion in. That mask also works with the object detection from this section here. So I am more interested in whether a person appeared rather than a bug flying around at night or something like that. So I don't use the in-app motion detection. I use object detection, and I set the object to detect that I want to be a person. And I can change the sensitivity of that, and I can test that to see if it triggers, to keep me from prevent me from getting false triggers. I can adjust that and monitor that to get the best setting. So I mentioned Telegram. Again, this is a free social media app. And if you enable the Telegram Messenger, you have to set up a bot, and you'll get a token for your Telegram bot, which you would place in here, and you would enable Telegram on motion by checking this little checkbox over here. And what that does then in Telegram, in this particular view here, I have a group called, or a Telegram group, called Lakes Clubhouse Cameras. And I share that with 3 members. And whenever an event occurs, it logs the time. For instance, this was at 10:22 p.m. it logs which camera name, and it encloses a picture of the event that triggered it, and it sends that off to my Telegram account. And everyone who I have shared or invited to join this Telegram account will get a notification at the same time, and they'll be able to see the same events that are shown here. So they also have a thing called Webhooks. This is for IFTTT. That's if this, then that website. And once you set up a webhook, you'll get a key, I should call it, which I blocked out here. And you can copy and paste that into here. But I found this didn't always work well. So if it doesn't work for you, then I'm going to show you another way to actually work that works better. And that is to use another Android application called Tasker. We'll talk about that in a bit. So if you go into the settings under experimental, you have Tasker support. And if you turn that on, then you can install Tasker on your Android device, and you can set up different profiles. In this particular case, I've got a profile that detects a person. And when it detects a person, it is going to send this particular HTTP request to IFTTT's website, which is going to trigger an action that I have set up there. And you'll get this blurred, blocked out key from IFTTT. So the rest of it, except for in the case of value 1 here, you can pass 3 values to it. I just put the name of the camera in there as value 1. But the rest of this URL is going to be the same with the exception of your key. So if you decide to get all this set up, know that you can use this URL. So the combination of Tasker and the IFTTT website then can be used to send a notification to your Amazon Echo, for example. And if you use the email functionality of TinyCam PRO, when a trigger event occurs, such as a person detected, it will send you an email that looks like this. It will tell you that a person was detected. It was an activity that happened on camera name at camera time, along with a picture that was taken when the event was triggered. And that will be sent to your email address that you've set up in your settings. And so now we move on to the IFTTT website, if this, then that. Again, IFTTT gives you 3 triggers for free, 3 applets that rather for free. If you need more than that, you have to pay for the subscription, which is about $40 a year. But if you go into one of the applets, you have this section here that will tell you when the applet ran. And so you've got a history to show you what occurred. So here's some of the events that you can set up, like if a low battery is detected on any of your outdoor cameras, because they are battery operated. You can get an event sent to you. Or in this particular case, if I created a maker event called camera motion. And if I get a camera motion event, it's going to send a notification to my Alexa device. And if you go into the receive a web request, there's the event name, camera motion, and that shows you how you can edit your trigger fields and give it a name. So under the event, you have these sections here, which allow you to add additional ingredients. The default that comes up here is value 1, which is taken from the URL link that you've triggered. So in my case, value 1 would say lobby, for example, lobby camera. And it would say lobby event named, whatever the event name was, camera motion, occurred on the camera at, and then it would have the time. And webhooks is a very powerful feature of IFTTT. So in this case, I've got a event called Notify the Clubhouse and send a rich text notification from the app using webhooks. And if you go into the settings up here of webhooks, that will take you to a screen that tells you what your key is. You'll need a unique key for your account that you have linked to your IFTTT account. So I blocked that out, but you will get your own key and you will need that for creating your URLs. And again, if you need more than 3, you have to sign up for unlimited action and events for $40 a year. And you can now do a lot of different functionality. You can trigger a whole multitude of things to take place. And again, TinyCam PRO has a web server if you enable that, which also gives you some statistics, some log files, and you can view live, you can view a timeline, you can view events, and things like that. And this is what the web server looks like if you were viewing it in your phone, on a smartphone, for example. In this particular case, I've selected the library as an event I want to watch. And if I put it in timeline mode, I could step through the different events by using these buttons here. So this is the timeline mode in landscape mode. Again, on your smartphone. And this is the Kasa app, which if you purchase the TP-Link Wi-Fi switches, this is the app that controls those. So currently Meeting North is turned on and the icon for that shows up a little darker gray. And you can link your Kasa app to your Alexa app. So Alexa can control your lights. And between Alexa and Tasker and IFTTT and all of these sorts of things, you can create a whole series of different things to occur in your security system to do just about anything that you might want to think of. So I already stepped you through setting up Alexa routines, so we don't need to really go through that again, but this is, for example, we have a camera in the kitchen, and we also have a camera in our north area of our clubhouse. And so I have a routine that if the north meeting camera detects a person, it will turn on the lights in the kitchen. It will turn on the lights in the meeting north area. It will make an announcement on my Alexa Echo device, which I have setting by my bedside, that would wake me up. And it would then wait 20 minutes and turn the kitchen light off, and then wait another minute and turn off the north meeting lights. But during that 20 minutes, I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to go check the cameras to see what's going on. And if there is sufficient need, I would activate the sirens on the cameras and activate some additional lights. And if you're going to just use the WYZE app and not go through TinyCam PRO and add all of these other bells and whistles, you're probably going to want to sign up for CAM Plus. If you only have 1 or 2 cameras, this is not bad. But when you have 21 cameras, this gets a little expensive, which is why I'm using TinyCam PRO, which only cost me $4 versus $15 a year per camera. And you absolutely have to have CAM Plus if you're going to do person detection triggering, any kind of triggering on your Alexa device. And this screen here, we're talking about Bluestacks. Now, again, I'm running a Mac. I'm sure it looks quite similar on a PC. But again, Bluestacks allows you to run Android applications on your PC or your Mac. And so TinyCam PRO is, I paid my $4 for it, and I have it installed on my Android smartphone. And I can also install it for free once I paid for it on as many devices as I want. So I have it installed in Bluestacks as well, along with the WYZE application, the Android app on Bluestacks. That's not part of it. Telegram, which is the app which I showed you earlier, and Amazon Alexa, and also Tasker, which we're probably going to talk about a little more, along with a few other things. So this is the what TinyCam PRO looks like on Bluestacks. This is at my home where I have 4 different cameras being viewed in TinyCam PRO on my PC. If I had Bluestacks showing my what this looks like in the WYZE app, it shrinks this down to this kind of a view here. And I don't know that I've mentioned, but I need to point out that you can group your cameras into groups to make it easier to view your cameras. Instead of 1 at a time, you can group them and view them 3 or 4 at a time, for example. Currently, we have 5 groups at our clubhouse, And as I select the different groups, I get groupings of 3 to show me what's going on at the clubhouse. And I want to reiterate that if you change the order, if you group your cameras in WYZE and you've set them up previously in TinyCam Pro, you're going to have to go back and change the channel number, because that channel number is obtained by the order in which the cameras appear from top to bottom. So if all of your cameras are one at a time, and that's how you set up TinyCam Pro, and then you decide you're going to group them into groups of 3, you're going to have to go modify that in TinyCam Pro. Okay, so again, you can download that presentation PDF file at this website. It's a bit.ly address. So this is 3, the lowercase o, the 0, a lowercase k, a lowercase x, a lowercase o, and an uppercase L. And that will give you this PDF file that you can go back to and reference. And so this is another cool thing that you can do, again, with IFTTT Webhooks. I have set up a task that allows me to, whenever an event occurs, it will record that event in Google Docs in a spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you what Tasker looks like here in a moment. But just know that these are the types of things that you can do using all of these ingredients that we've talked about here today to create your own recipe for your own security system, whether it be 1 camera or 14 cameras or 21 cameras. You have a lot of flexibility in being able to do nearly anything that you like. The next thing I really want to get into is, I think I want to show you Tasker. And to do that, let me see, do we have, no, you're not it. Oh, let me go back to this one. This is what WYZE looks like in an iPhone. So this is my iPhone showing the different events, and the fact that I have the paid for subscription service from WYZE. Actually, this is the trial version. You get a 14-day free trial. So all of the cameras currently at the clubhouse have the free trial, and they identify the motion that was detected, whether this was a person or whether it was just motion. And you have the ability to filter that either by the number of cameras, whether you want to see only motion events or whether you just want to see person events. You can select all of that right here on your phone. So at this particular tab was clicked by selecting events. And this particular screen is showing, again, the Telegram application in which we captured the event and sent it to multiple folks who might have a need to know about something like that. And I think for this next part, I'm actually going to have to change my sharing. And let's take you now to a different area. Let's go over to, just going to take you up to, I'm just going to take you to my desktop, I guess. All right, so I got all this stuff in my way. So I'm going to bring up Bluestacks. And again, you can select from these different apps. But I want to show you Tasker.
Larry, can I interrupt for a minute?
You may.
Thank you so much, as I did. Apparently your PDF is not correct, and I let everybody know in the chat box, but that's what I will be sending the link out to for those who put their first and last name in their thumbnail. That's
The
it.
link is in. Is
Not
the link
correct.
incorrect?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is correct or is not?
It is not correct, but that doesn't make any difference because that's what I'm sending out to everybody.
Oh, what?
Not the link. I'm actually sending what you sent me this morning.
You're sending me the actual PDF file that I sent you.
Absolutely. They always receive that.
Okay. All right. I'll have to double check the link. Okay. All right. So this is Tasker. And again, I didn't pay for this. This is a free version of it. If you want to do even more things with it, I guess there's a $3.50 fee if you want to buy it. But what Tasker allows you to do is to set up a profile. And in that profile, then you can select a camera because there's a plugin for TinyCam PRO. So let's go in here. I'm going to create a new profile, for example, just to show you. And I'm going to pick state. And from state, you have all of these categories. And there are a lot of plugins out there. You can search on Google and find plugins that will do things for you. And then you can install different plugins, but I only have one, and it's the TinyCam PRO plugin. And so what that allows me to do is to go under configuration. And then I can pick from all of these different options. I can, if I want to just detect motion, I can select this. Or if I actually want to filter it to be only a person detected, or if I'm looking for a pet detected running through the yard, for example, or maybe a vehicle, or you can even get down to the face level if you want to trigger face detection. Or if you want to set up something where connection is lost with your camera, you can do some sort of a notification based on that, which would be handy to know if you lost connections with your internet connection for your camera. Once you have picked that, and I'll just say person detected, it lists all of the cameras that I have enabled. And so I'm just going to set up my driveway. And at this point, I need to add a task. So what's going to happen when that person gets detected? And now I have to switch to, we get out of here. We got to go back. So it'll save this. And then we're going to go over here to a new task. and I'll just call it new task. And then we go down here and click the plus button to add the new task. And then you have all of these categories again that you can select from to do something. So it is quite extensive as to what you can do. You can either activate another plugin. You can do something like Google Drive. You can save something to Google Drive. Typically, what I do most of the time is I select Net. And under Net, there are options such as, whoops, let me get up here. HTTP request. And this is where I would put the URL that we talked about that has your key in it that goes to the IFTTT website. So it would, that string would contain the name of the event that you want to trigger, your particular key that's been assigned to you, an optional value 1, value 2, or value 3, which might describe the camera name or what other information you might want to add to it. And then once you've done that and you go back, you're done. I'm going to cancel this because we're not going to actually set this up. But that is how you would use Tasker. I'm going to delete the profile. And then you can turn these on and off. So right now, Tasker is running and it is active on 3 different profiles, and one of them is turned off. Now, if we go to let's get this up here. So this is the IFTTT website, and I have multiple accounts, so different ones do different things. But for example, if I go to this, it tells me, if I go to view activity, it tells me how many times and when the last trigger event occurred. So I can go in here and view the activity and say, okay, this applet ran on May the 2nd at 1:17 in the afternoon. It was the kitchen's west light that activated by the library camera. And the event that triggered this is called Kitchen West On. And the time that this event occurred is listed here. And it's linked to TP-Link Kasa to turn on a light. And there is the light. So that gives you an idea how all of this stuff links together. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Hopefully. Did we stop sharing?
Yes.
Because it looks to me like I'm still sharing it.
It's the camera you've chosen.
You've stopped, Larry.
Oh, okay. All right, so let me switch back over here just real quickly to put this back where it belongs. Okay. All right. So I guess at this point, we can open this up for questions.
And then we'll turn things over to Judy. If you sent Judy a question, it'll get asked. If you didn't send it to Judy, it won't get asked. So Judy, take it over.
Okay, the chat box is closed. Any that I don't have will ask live using your reactions button and raising your hand, which means you go up to the upper left-hand corner of our screen. This is from Barbara. She asks, what is the minimum I need to set up to monitor an elderly relative who lives in her own home?
The minimum you would need is the camera. So, and internet, of course, you do need internet. So if you wanted to monitor someone, all you would need is a $20 camera, but the price is going up on them. So I think, with shipping, they were 25 bucks. And now they're going to raise the price. So with shipping and an SD card, you're up in the $35 to $40 price range. And that's all you would need. You could monitor from home.
I'm assuming she would need one for each room where her mom goes.
Yes, if she wanted to, it would be one camera for whatever she wanted to watch or monitor. And the nice thing is that these videos and the live feed, they're stored in the cloud, which means that you can go anywhere with your phone, as long as you have, as you're paying for some sort of internet coverage, and that's activated on your phone, you can watch those cameras from anywhere. So as long as you have internet capability, you can watch the cameras wherever you go.
And we had one attendee that who didn't know what WYZE was, that it's a brand of, cameras and fast scales and all that good kind of stuff that everybody's jumping on. She wondered if she is strictly an iPhone, iPad person, and she wonders if you have any recommendations for a system that will work with that and not Android.
Again, the WYZE systems work with Android and iOS. So you can run them on your iPad, your iPhone. It's only if you want to do the sophisticated things like using TinyCam PRO, which is an Android only application. If you just want to use the cameras with Alexa and the WYZE app, and even turning the lights on and off, you can do all of that on your iOS device, whether it be a smartphone or an iPad. It works very well.
Thank you. John would like to know what options if you don't have a Plus account.
Your options if you don't have the Plus account is more limited. You can set up rules. Those rules could turn on a WYZE plug, for example, but not a TP-Link device. So if you bought one of the WYZE plugs where you plug a 110 volt, whatever, whether it be a lamp or something else, you can set up a rule so that when an event is detected, it could turn on a light plugged into a WYZE plug. But without the subscription, you're going to get a lot of false triggers. You'll get a lot of motion detection, and especially at night with the infrared. The infrared, it sees flying insects and you get triggers all night long from flying insects. So if you're going to try to use this for security monitoring at night, you should either pay for that Cam Plus subscription or look into using the TinyCam PRO on either Bluestacks or on an Android device of some kind.
Cool. Aldo would like to know, can TinyCam PRO be used with your Ring? I'm assuming that would be doorbell. I'm
not 100% positive. They support nearly every camera manufacturer. And I forgot to mention that. If you have a FOSCAM camera or any of the other brands, TinyCam supports a huge list of cameras. I do not know if Ring is on that list, but I could probably pull that up here and tell you very quickly, if you don't mind waiting just a moment.
Oh, that's fine, thank you.
So I'll bring up TinyCam PRO here, and we'll go over to Manage Cameras, and we'll do Plus to do a new one. I know you can't see this. And I'll do Add an IP camera, and I'll go to Camera Brands. And there's a search item over here, so I can go to Search, and I can type Ring, R-I-N-G. And Ring does not show up. So I'm guessing that that is not one of the supported brands, but they support peer-to-peer. It starts out with A and goes to Z pretty much. All kinds of cameras. Maybe I should share my screen real quickly. And we'll show you that. Assuming I can find my screen sharing again. I'm just going to share Bluestacks with you. Okay, so let's go in here and, oops, hello, camera brand. So again, these are all the different cameras. And I used to have very expensive cameras. You know, I paid a couple $100 a piece. I got rid of all of them and bought the WYZE cameras for 20 bucks. They have better quality imagery than the $200 cameras that I was using. As you can see, the names are, they start at A and they work down. I understand this Dahua camera, that's a couple $1,000 camera right there. And these guys are using it with this TinyCam PRO. So if you have any of these cameras like FOSCAM is a very popular camera. I had a lot of those. Again, I've gotten rid of all of them. Don't have any more. They even do GoPro. An IP cam. So what else we got in here? Kaikong. Where did I just see that one? Did that go? Yeah, right there. K-A-I-K-O-N-G. I had a lot of those cameras at one time. They're much harder to set up, and I need to talk about that. Logitech. Panasonic. Sony. But we didn't. We didn't have the one you're looking for.
No Ring.
So
Thank you.
Now, I do want to mention something that I did forget, and that is the ease of setting up a WYZE camera versus any of these other cameras. You simply install the WYZE app on your phone, and you go up and press a button, the plus icon in the upper corner, to say you want to add a new camera. You go over to your WYZE camera and you push a little button on it, the reset button, and the camera talks to you and it says to connect to your network. And then it puts a QR code on your app on your phone. And as you step through the process, it says, show me the QR code. And you show it the QR code and it sets everything up for you. These are the easiest cameras I've ever used as far as setting them up. And if you have to change your Wi-Fi location, you just repeat that process, connect it to a different network name, show the QR code to the camera, and it connects to that network and you're good to go. That QR code also sets up your usernames and passwords and all your protective settings as well. And
Carl would like to know, how long do the camera batteries last, and what does it take to wire the camera for power?
okay, we're talking about the outdoor camera, which is a battery operated camera. The amount of time that it stays depends on the amount of events that it has to process. It has, by default, it has a 5-minute cool down period between events so that it doesn't run the battery down. But if you have the CAM Plus subscription, you can go in and change the settings so that it's more aggressive, and in which case the battery would not last as long. Those cameras, we bought 4 of them for the clubhouse. We ended up sending them back because they're too much of a hassle. I still keep one around here at my home on standby, fully charged in the event that I want to capture something remotely. I can take it with me, turn the camera on, and it will record to the SD card. And then I could come back home and look at it on the SD card. Or I could also, if I'm within Wi-Fi distance, I could watch it on the cloud through that. But the quality of the video from the outdoor camera versus the V3, I don't believe is quite as good. And as far as the power required to plug them in, they use one of those little transformers that you plug into the wall that provides 5 volts to a USB cable. They provide about a 10-foot cable, I think, that plugs into the camera with a micro USB, I believe it is, connector on one end and a regular USB 3.0 connector on the other end. It's a flat cable that's about 1/4 of an inch wide and 1/16 of an inch thick. It's very easy to route it. And you can also buy extension cables in 20-foot lengths to extend the length of the cable for getting power to it. Of course, power was the biggest obstacle we had at our clubhouse with 14 cameras, some being outside. We had to locate power and have an electrician come in a couple of cases to set something up for us. But the outdoor battery operated cameras would require a lot of interaction to keep them charged.
That
Let me-
answers Tony's question about are the cameras for outdoors? Well, yes, WYZE has both indoor and outdoor cameras, and they recently released one that is way cool. I don't have any more questions, so I'm going to turn this over right now to Bill James, and I would like him to tell you about all of the WYZE devices he is using. We have many people in APCUG that think the WYZE devices are the best things that came down the pike. And WYZE was put together by a bunch of kids who worked at Amazon. And one of them thought all the cameras were too expensive and figured they could come up with something better. And by golly, you got all these young kids that are probably, pretty close to millionaires by now. And they formed their company and moved to Silicon Valley. And the way it went and the way it works is they develop something new and you buy into it. You order it. When they get enough orders, it starts to be manufactured. And as it comes to you, you get updates on when it will be at your house. And their customer service is great. They answer their emails almost instantly. It's quite innovative, and Bill will tell you everything that he is using WYZE.
But
Over to you, kiddo.
Thanks, Judy.
If I could just interrupt for a moment, because you brought up a subject that is near and dear to me.
Okay.
And that is the support from WYZE. And I forgot to mention that they have an excellent support. They have a forum, but I had to contact WYZE for a problem that we had that was extremely difficult to sort out. I spent an hour and 20 minutes on the phone with WYZE support, and then 2 or 3, maybe 4 days afterwards through continuous emails back and forth until we resolved it. And it was not the run-of-the-mill problem that you would run into. It took a lot of digging to figure out. It turned out to be one of the SD cards got corrupted. And so at 6 o'clock in the morning, it shut the event notifications down on all 14 cameras. And it was one SD card and one camera of those 14 cameras that was causing the problems. And they stayed with me until we got that fixed. So I can't say enough about their support. So Bill, take it away.
Thanks, Larry, Judy. I think I've actually become addicted to WYZE, not intentionally. The first item I bought was the WYZE scale. And the reason why I got it was because it had an incredibly low price, but yet it was full of features. That's one of the things that I think is compelling about WYZE products, is that they are really feature rich, but not that expensive, and they're really quality products. The scale does all kinds of things, from measuring your blood pressure to your body fat, etc. It's really quite a nice product for $20. Very well made, has a very modern, sleek appearance. So if you are interested in providing your friends and relatives an inexpensive gift that they will appreciate, you might take a look at the WYZE scale. And then from there,
$29.
Pardon?
Is that $29?
I think they're $19.99. They're $20. And then, of course, the next thing, which I think is probably the most impressive of all my WYZE products, is my vacuum. And I got once you get on their email, or buy a product from them, you'll get emails from them. And the vacuum is really a very impressive device in that it has what's called LiDAR, which it will go in and map the room. And you can then use the WYZE app to then set a schedule when you want it to run. The WYZE app, as Larry spoke about, controls all the WYZE devices. And from there, because I was an early adapter for the vacuum, they gave me a WYZE camera version 3 for free. And I had that set up looking over my out my front window, and it monitors the front yard. I did go ahead and take advantage of the Cam Plus, the subscription service that they offer. Since I got the camera for free, I thought, I could just spring for the subscription. And what that does, it gives me basically um, some of the features that Larry mentioned that I can, do the event recording, get notifications on my phone, set alarms, set up rules, sharing, and a lot of things I can do um, with that. I haven't put an SD card in it yet. I just usually use it for looking over my neighborhood. I name it Gladys. If you remember Bewitched, from um, the nosy neighbor across the street. I'm the nosy man across the street. So, and then the other thing I have gotten is the sprinkler system, which was also quite inexpensive, and I can. It has monitors the National Weather Service, so the yard only runs. I mean, the sprinkler only runs on days that there's not any rain in the forecast. Um, so it's a really neat device, and it was quite inexpensive. It was about $50. But you also have a subscription to go along with that if you want to get the monitoring. But it comes with a 1-year subscription to their weather monitoring service. And I also have Spring for the watch that I have, and that's been a really good device as well. It connects to your Android phone through Bluetooth. It doesn't have all the features of some of the higher end, more expensive watches, but it does quite a few things that I think you'll really appreciate. What I have on the waiting list, I'm not finished with my WYZE adventure. I also have ordered the floor lamp, and I'm still waiting for the handheld vacuum. But I couldn't more highly recommend the WYZE products as part of my home automation project that's ongoing. But it's really it's an inexpensive way to get into home automation. As Larry says, it makes it really ways to monitor your the goings on around your home. And as seniors, we need to have something that we can rely on to be able to keep ourselves safe. Also, I had already purchased light bulbs. I haven't tried the WYZE light bulbs, but those are other things that you can that they're available from WYZE.
Thank you.
So,
And he has Skinny the scale, Herman the robotic vacuum, Gladys is the camera from Bewitched, the nosy neighbor across the street that kept looking across the street at that house, and Rain the sprinkler. We name everything to make it more fun. And Bob G also has a robotic vacuum that he dearly loves. His vacuum is Alice. I call it Alice 1 because his wife's name is Alice. And Herman, I'm sorry, I just have to do it. And Herman runs Tuesday morning at 2 a.m. and he just closes his bedroom door and Herman does his thing. And with a home automation presentation, I had him take a picture of Herman after the carpeting had been vacuumed, and oh my gosh, it was absolutely the best thing that you've ever seen. You could know that that carpeting was really, really clean. And even though Bill has a cleaning lady, he says Herman cleans probably places that nobody has ever gone before, because it goes under things where maybe your vacuum is not going to reach. So there are several of us that are really having a fun time with the WYZE products. Open for questions now for Larry. Please use the reactions icon, the last one on your right, and raise your hand, and you will go up to the upper left-hand corner of my screen, which of course didn't work this time, but over to Bill Ginsberg, who's going to unmute himself and ask his question.
Okay, can you hear me now, Judy?
Perfectly.
Okay, what are the security issues with any of these getting into your own Wi-Fi system? And the second comment, would Larry please go to Washington and work for Biden and take over the security issues that we all are having?
Doesn't that make you wonder what all these companies that are getting busted with stuff, what in the world are they using for security? And why don't they join a computer club so they can find out what to do?
Right, that would be excellent.
Well, as far as the WYZE systems go, you set up an email address and a password that you want to use, and it is set up in the camera when you show the QR code to it. So it connects. First of all, that QR code defines your network address. It defines your email address, and it defines the password that you have set up for the cameras. And all of that is embedded into the QR code. So I believe it would be rather difficult to break into them, but when you're on the internet, all bets are off. I'm not concerned about it. I don't have the cameras anywhere that I wouldn't care if somebody else saw them or not. So
it's not the view from the camera that I'm worried about. It's getting into all your other email or your security.
I have an answer.
go ahead, Judy.
I just read an article yesterday that said if you're going to have a home automation stuff, that you have it on a separate network, so to speak, than what you have for your PC, whatever you use on that way. And don't forget the excellently difficult password that people are not going to be able to get in easily, or using 2FA in addition to your password. So again, we know all this good kind of stuff we've had this drummed into us for 1,000 years at our group meetings. And we just need to be the most secure people in the world to prevent people from breaking into our networks.
I've set up a Google Mesh system, and I set up a guest network, and I believe that would be more secure. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
I have everything in my house I have very few, everything is wireless. And I have not had any problems security-wise. And I think I had my system going for at least 5-10 years so far. But what I want to say, it's going to be as secure as the security that you set up with Wi-Fi. I would agree, Bill, that having the guest network, if your system allows that, is to set that up when you have people visiting your home and you want them to be on your Wi-Fi. one of the things that few people realize is that once a device is connected to the Wi-Fi, like a phone or anything that a guest might come in, it remembers that. So the next time that they show up to your house, they're automatically going to be connected to your Wi-Fi. So that's something to, so that's a good reason to set them up. If you're going to let them use your Wi-Fi, set them up with the guest account. And then there won't be the temptation of, possibly getting into areas that you don't want them into.
Bill King has a question.
Judy, I think Tony has tried to raise his hand several times. Could you let Tony ask his question?
Sure, but Tony, if you're using a PC, you just go down to your reactions button and click on it and click on raise hand.
I have a Mac.
Larry, how does that work with a Mac?
You go to reactions,
Same.
which is a icon almost to the far right,
Yeah.
and then you can click on raise hand from there.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's Zoom. Zoom is Zoom. Okay, I'm sure it works the same way with Linux. Okay, now Tony, you're in line, and Don Van Sickle has a question. He's
Great
first in line.
Great presentation. Very.
You're muted.
We lost,
That's
the
okay.
audio.
Don, go.
Thank you. I have a couple of WYZE cams, and I agree they're great products. I have the stationary cam pointed out a front window, as I think Bill James said he did. And it's amazing. It is totally amazing what you can see with that camera during the day. At night, not so much. I think maybe the infrared sensor or light is maybe reflecting off the inside of the glass. I'm not sure about that.
Don, I haven't noticed. I do use mine at night. The only thing I notice is that there is a little, looks like a light that's shining down from the very top. But I think that might be a light that I have outside the house that's reflecting into the camera. But other than that, I have the night vision has been really good. Now, there is a setting that you might want to check. Let me make sure. Go ahead and talk, and I'll look this up.
Well, on that subject, I also wanted to comment that I was thinking about getting some outside cams, but we have somebody who runs around our neighborhood. I don't know, some kind of domestic terrorist that does tricks to neighbors. And so I wish WYZE had a feature on their outside cams that would allow you to track the camera if somebody did steal it and reset it and set it up in their own area, that you could find out sort of where it was.
Well, WYZE has if you go on their forum, you can suggest things that they would incorporate into their products, and people vote on them. And if enough people vote on them, they incorporate those changes into their products. That's one of the additional advantages that WYZE has, is they listen to their base.
The other thing that would be nice is if the cameras, now if you lose your internet, will it still record locally?
If you have an SD card in your camera, it will.
Okay, thank you.
You might want to go look at your night vision settings. I have mine set for auto, night vision conditions or dusk, and night vision IR lights as far. And I have no difficulty with seeing anything in front of my house done. So take a look at those on your phone in the WYZE app.
Right. Well, thank you. Try
Don, Don, you're not trying to shoot through from inside to outside through the window, are you?
Yes, I am.
I
Well,
am also.
that will cause trouble.
Larry,
The
I'm going
infrared
to,
lights the infrared lights will bounce off of the window, and
yeah,
unless you can get the camera right up against the window, that's a kind of a problem.
yeah, Larry, mine is through the glass, but I do have it setting flush pressed up to the window, where um, it's not a space between the camera lens and the glass.
Okay, you see, I do not, because if I do that, I don't get the area of the yard that I want to, the outside area that I want to see. So I have it at a slight angle, and I see sort of a little halo, or I don't know exactly what to call it, but there's a little round glow in the image at night.
That's what I see
That's
also.
that's a reflection of the infrared. There's 4 infrared lights built into the camera, and you're going to see a reflection of those at night.
Okay. That's what I see. Mine's at the very top in the middle, but it's very small. It's almost inconspicuous.
Now, the one thing that's great about the V3 cameras is their sensitivity to any kind of light that's outside. They work very well, and even in an area that is fairly dark. If there's a street light on anywhere, you can turn night vision off, turn the infrared off, and it will record in color. And it's a whole lot better than the V2 cameras. And you can usually get some fairly decent video, even if you don't have a lot of light.
So should I jump in and get a lot of the V3s, or should I wait for the V4s to be even better?
I don't know about a V4, but Judy, you know about the V4?
No, I don't. Troubleshooting here. Bill James, would you turn your mic off so we can determine whether we're getting feedback from you or somebody else? Oh, I guess I should talk now to see if we're getting any feedback. Thank you. It's you, Bill.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that answers my questions. Thank you very much.
Off to Joe.
Okay, thank you very much. I read this morning that a lot of Wi-Fi devices have had issues with people being able to break in, and yesterday's Windows update fixed it for Windows, but not for the devices. So I'm wondering, is there any way to update the firmware on these cameras?
Yes, the firmware can be upgraded, and it can be downgraded as well. On their website, they have a web page that you can go to get a binary file from any of the revisions. And if you put that on your SD card with nothing else on it and plug it into the camera, it will update from the SD card. Otherwise, it will update on its own when they come out with a new revision to the firmware.
Thank you.
Over to you. Unmute yourself, please.
Are you talking? Did you address me?
Tony. Tony in the red sweater. Unmute yourself.
Red sweater, that's me.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Nice program, very, very informative, and I am new with this, so be gentle with me. James is talking about his scale, checking your weight and everything. Maybe I need to get 2 scales. Anyway, my question is that because I have Apple products, I was concerned about the cam, or was it the TinyCam? That cannot be used with Apple, can it?
You are talking to an Apple guy.
Yeah.
The way that you get around that is to run Bluestacks software, which will allow you to run Android software on your Mac.
Okay.
But it also, the WYZE cameras work fine on iOS, on your iPad, your iPhone, without the need for these other tools. But if you want to run TinyCam PRO, that is an Android app, and you can run it on a Mac. You just run it in Bluestacks. That is an app that you can download for free. You can also install Bluestacks on a PC or a Mac and run Android applications on it.
I appreciate that. The second question is that there are two apps on my iPhone and for my Mac. Which one is the correct one to use for WYZE?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, right now,
two-
when I go in here, it has two apps. On the phone, it has one says WYZE, it's in green, and the other one says WYZE Home Lifestyle. So there are two apps. Which one is it to use?
Well, the one I use is just called WYZE. WYZE, I don't know what WYZE Home is.
Okay, just WYZE Lifestyle. Okay, fine. Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great job.
Over to Kurt.
Yeah, about a year ago when you couldn't buy a webcam anywhere, some folks from WYZE came out for the modification to take a V2 and turn it into a webcam as opposed to a surveillance camera. I've done some experimenting with that. One of the advantages of it is that compared with normal webcams, the field of view is very, very wide. Do you know if there are any plans to take and make a similar modification available for the V3, since V2s are becoming hard to find?
That I do not know. I haven't tried to do that with the camera. I know there's about a 10-12 second lag in the cameras, so I don't know how well that would work for a web camera unless they're completely replacing the firmware.
They're replacing the firmware, and some of our trials have been pretty successful. The microphone and the speaker that's built into the V2 is totally useless, just because of a quality issue. But the cameras appear to work. I haven't had the opportunity yet to hold, other than testing, hybrid meetings. So,
Well, that's something I haven't played around with, but you kind of piqued my interest. I do have a few V2 cameras that laying around that I might want to try to play with just to see how you can fool with them and change the firmware. That could be an interesting project.
yeah, this software was brought out with the idea of them being a webcam that you might take and connect to your computer and your home system, and they're really rather wide angle for that purpose. They're, well, I think you probably know, they're close to a fisheye in their perspective. But one of the problems that we foresee in hybrid meetings is taking and showing all of the people that are at the local location. And I think these cameras will, the V2s anyway, may work well in that environment.
Hey, Kurt, if you get that worked out, let me know, because I get a ton of emails on, is anybody have a hybrid setup that is actually working wonderfully? And so far, the ones I've attended, only a couple of them are. And that's one of the things, is how do you see everybody? So if you come up with a solution, write it up and send it to me, okay? That'd be great. And Larry, if you look into it, the same thing with you too, because so many people are not going to go back to just meeting in person. They're going to have hybrid meetings, and yet nobody's got it, like I said, perfected except for a couple of groups.
Since I've got the soapbox, let me suggest this to all of our groups. We should never consider going back to in-person only meetings. because we can serve many more people that can't travel. And it becomes a situation where one of our most successful meetings in a long time, we're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities. Our presenter was in rural Oregon. Okay.
Yes. That was the brewery lady from Oregon who gave a presentation on Locast.
Right.
And that is for people who cut the cord to get local stations. I just personally think that's a hoot. The lady with the brewery is the one who gave the Locast presentation.
Oh.
But yeah, many groups have gotten new members since they have only been meeting online. Over to Tim.
Hello, my question or problem, as it is for Larry, has to do with WYZE Sense. I played with that and played with it and played with it, and I have had absolutely no success in pairing up the WYZE sensor. Any ideas?
I have 2 of the WYZE sensors. I did not have any difficulty pairing them. In fact, I've even moved the little hub from one V2 camera to another, and they lock right in as soon as I move the hub. I did have one sensor fail. So that sensor pack came with a motion sensor and 2 door sensors. One of the door sensors did fail. The motion sensor, I just recently repurposed that. I have a 3D printer for those who don't know. And I used Fusion 360 to design a squirrel feeder. It was going to be a bird feeder, but it turned into a squirrel feeder. And I put it on a ball bearing and mounted it to the tree so that if the squirrel got on it to eat the nuts and stuff, he'd get thrown off. But they're smart. They figure that out in a hurry. And so then I decided, well, if you're going to do that, I've got a camera outside that looks at that tree. So I'd like to catch that action. And if I turn on motion detection with the camera, I've got a lake behind me, so the waves, the wind, the palm trees, all that sort of stuff sets off motion. So I took that motion sensor and I designed it into the cup that the squirrels go into to get their nuts. And that motion sensor is pointing at my house, so I don't get all of those false triggers from motion detection, except when the squirrel comes up to feed on the nuts that we put there. And that triggers my camera to start a video and capture the video of the camera feeding outside. Just another way to use the system.
I got a problem.
I don't see any more raised hands. Are there no more questions?
Tim, just one follow up. We are talking about the door sensors, correct?
No, the motion sensor.
You're talking about the motion sensor and it doesn't work?
I'm unable to pair it like I'm supposed to be able to, and with the camera. And so the end result is I gave up on it a while back now because it just would not pair for anything.
If you can get me your email address, ask Judy to send that to me. Let me take a look into that and I'll touch base with you. I can do a little follow-up on that.
And Tim, are you Columbus Computer Society or are you Chicago Computer Society?
Chicago Computer Society.
Remember, there's 2. Over to Bill.
I have a suggestion for the infrared.
Okay.
you hear me now?
Bill G, let Bill G answer the camera thingy, and then we'll go to Bill King, who's
G,
raised his hand.
yes. Can you hear me, Judy? Okay, I have a suggestion for the infrared camera inside the glass. If you get a rubber sunshade that you could get from a place like B&H, I believe if it could attach to the camera, the security camera, and you press it tightly against the glass, I think it would cut down the extra infrared light.
I believe his problem was if you did that, he doesn't have the field of view for the area he was trying to cover.
Correct? I think if you get a larger, you can, this would take a little Mickey Mouse thing, but you could get a large diameter sunshade that would come down to the camera. It would take a lot of fooling around, but I think it would cut down the extraneous items coming into the glass. It's worth a try, not expensive.
Bill King, it's yours.
Thank you. And I have a Amazon Prime account, so freight is not a problem for me. Is that a good place to buy a WYZE camera, or is there a better one? Any thoughts on that?
Offhand, Bill, one place I was able to pick it up locally, Home Depot. They even had starter kits, a $50 one and a $100 one. And I picked up the $50 one, and everything so far works fine except for that motion sensor.
Okay. I'm in the boonies, and so I'm about 25 miles from a Home Depot. No, 30 miles. And I like my Amazon if I can get it reasonable. I just wondered if that was a good option.
I'm just not sure how the return policy works if you get it from other than directly from the WYZE website. I know they have a 30-day return policy. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll take it back within 30 days. But I know they ask for proof. And we bought all of our cameras directly from the WYZE website. So I don't know what would have happened if we'd have bought them from Amazon as far as proving that the purchase date and all of that for warranty purpose.
I missed that point. I didn't realize that WYZE sold those through their website. So yes, I'd want to check that out. It's just WYZE.com.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And Amazon's policy, I've never had a problem ever returning anything to Amazon.
No.
At all, even if it was a third-party person. I just returned a wicker rocking chair, and it was overseas company, and got my money back instantly.
I'm the same way. I don't have any problem with my Amazon.
If you want to buy your WYZE stuff from Amazon, go ahead. Over to Kurt.
If you have a micro center in your vicinity, you may be able to find WYZE devices at reasonable prices. And also, frequently you can get refurbished WYZE cameras. And I've got a couple of those. You save a few bucks, and I can't tell them from new.
And they have the same guarantee or warranty?
It might be shorter. but anything can go back to Micro Center. Virtually anything can go back to Micro Center for 30 days.
I would normally mention fries, but they went out of business. Any more questions? Nope. You will, okay. I am a seller on Amazon. Amazon loves buyers, but doesn't have the same sentiment for sellers. Oh, well, that was from Paul. And Bill has his hand up again.
Let me just say that I've quit using eBay because every time I buy something from eBay, they make me go to PayPal, and I don't like PayPal. I can't tell whether my rewards are coming through my credit card or whether they're coming from PayPal. I just can't verify anything, and so sometimes I find things on eBay that come up when I Google it, but I've stopped buying from them.
Questions. Oh, Bobby has a question.
I really don't have a question. I have something for Bill James. I got the WYZE, a wireless or the outdoor plug and the light bulbs. So now when I go out in the evening, I can have my fountain running with a colored light on it. So that'd be your next project.
Outstanding. And as I go to my garage door.
I do have colored lights on the outside of the house, and I have one of those WYZE plugs, which I'm anxious to use when the Christmas season comes around. But thank you.
As I go to the garage door and open it and say, you know, turn on the garage lights, and the lights turn on. It's not like I couldn't just reach around the corner and flip the light switch on. I'm just having fun. You know, I mean, all this stuff is just so much fun.
If I could just quickly mention, I have a Alexa device in every room and Alexa devices outdoors. Every light switch has been converted to TP-Link light switches, so that we walk from room to room and we turn the lights off by talking. My garbage disposal is even turned on.
No. Oh, God. Bill James, he's one-upping you.
I know.
And I have, like Bill, you know, I've got to have one of everything that WYZE makes. Now, I did not get the little vacuum that he has, but I have the one ordered for the car, and I have the watch ordered, and I have a strip of LED lights on my rail, and so I also have the spotlight for the V3 camera. You recall that's a new item that they came out with. So we have a lady here in our park who likes to walk in the morning at 5 o'clock or so. And she picks up our newspaper from the driveway and takes it up to our door. And the first few times, you know, it probably shocked her a bit when the floodlights came on and the lights on the rails system lit up and all of that, but she's used to it now. And when we get an Amazon delivery and he walks up to the door, there's an echo device out there that talks to him and tells him to leave the package at the front door, and that I know that he is there. So but between Alexa and WYZE, it can really get you hooked with all of this automation. It's a lot of fun, actually.
Well, Bill also has Bounce the dryer and Sudsy the washing machine, along with everything else. And all of you with home automation need to think about naming everything because it just makes you laugh. I wanted another smile from Margie, and I knew I'd get one with that. Any more questions? Nope. You will receive the handout, the PDF handout, as well as a link to the video. And Shelley is either waving at us or has a question.
I do have a question.
Okay, Bill Ginsberg, you're on.
I noticed that Larry is using what looks like Apple earbuds, and I've tried to use it with my Zoom, and I just can't get them to turn on. Any suggestions?
You have to pair them to Bluetooth. So if you paired them with your phone,
yes,
you need to turn Bluetooth off on your phone or take your phone into the other room, 300 feet away, get it a distance away, and then you can pair it with your computer through Bluetooth. But
I see. So
if your Bluetooth is on, on your phone, it's gonna cause trouble.
So if I turn the phone off and then pair it with the laptop, that should work.
Yes, that works well, and it'll remember it. So that's how it works.
I'll give it a try. Thank you.
You may have to select the proper device for the microphone and speaker function also within Zoom.
Osterberg, you're on. Unmute yourself, please.
This is Tom Ostertag, and I was just going to say what Kurt said. When you get on, if you haven't been using your earbuds with Zoom, then what you have to do is go to the audio settings, go down the lower corner where the microphone is and hit the little up caret and choose to use the earbuds, because otherwise it'll stay with whatever you've been typically using.
Thomas, I love your backdrop there, the train.
Sorry, would you say that again about the earbuds, pairing the earbuds? I missed that.
You have to, once you get them paired, then what you have to do is you have to go to Zoom, go down to the lower left corner where it says, where you have the little microphone, go to the up caret next to it and choose to use the earbuds.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay, and that's O'Malley 2884. If you know what steam engines are, this is one off of the Duluth, Mesabi and Iron Range Railroad. It's out in the. You can take a picture of it outside. It's near Proctor, Minnesota.
I love it.
And you didn't even know what it was. Any other comments, questions? Don't forget the raise your hand button. I respond much more quickly to that because you pop up in the upper left-hand corner with a little gold hand raised from no matter which screen you are on. And we still have 3 screens of people. And there's Shelley, just still waving the hand.
I would like to review this presentation.
Thank you.
I need to get my name in there, Eric Taylor.
I couldn't hear what he said. What did you?
Yeah, we couldn't understand you, Shelley. You need to shout, yell at us.
I would like to review this presentation. My name is Eric Taylor. have my email.
If you signed in with your first and last name into on your thumbnail, you will receive a copy of it. That's what I match up with the attendee list.
My wife did it. That's Shelley Miguel. So I don't know how she signed in, but
How about if you put click on the chat box and put your name in there for me?
Shelley, how did you?
Oh, there you are. You changed it. Thank you.
What?
No, it now says Eric Taylor instead of Shelley.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
Fixed it. Thank you.
But who registered?
That's what I was trying. I think it was Eric because the email came to Eric's.
Okay, that's what I need. Thank you.
Up in the box, it's supposed to say change your name or something, and there's nothing up there for us to be able to.
It is if you right click on the thumbnail picture, rename pops up, or the three dots.
Oh, down there, separate.
Yeah.
Okay. All my other thing is it was up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Any more questions, comments from anybody? Going. Over to John.
I'd like to thank everybody who attended today, even those people who have already left. We appreciate your taking your time to show us that this idea that we had is of benefit. We'll be back again next week and the following week. And as always, I'll say it for Judy, if you have any ideas of topics that might be of interest to people, let her know. And of course, if you are one of those people that would like to be a presenter, either by yourself or on a team, we'd be glad to have you. So without anything else.
As usual.
Okay, Judy, one more.
John and I have come up with a laundry list of presentations that we think might be of interest to people. I am going to send it out to my 1,500 member address list for the virtual technology conferences and the Wednesday workshop and say, let us know if you would like to be on the team that puts this together. And maybe it's something that you use all the time and you'd like to share your knowledge. And if you give presentations to your group, this is exactly the same thing. It's just that we're all across the United States and in Canada, and sometimes even Australia, people get up in the middle of the night to attend. So we need people who aren't afraid to give a presentation, because we just let it all hang out, warts and all, because all of these are live. And Larry was trying out new stuff that he hadn't used before, and it worked. You know, so what can I tell you? You might find something, and we can put a team together like we do with the Linux stuff like that. But we'd love to have new faces. And I heard about Larry's drone presentation and asked him to give it, and the poor guys had to give one each month now. You know, what can I tell you? And it'll probably be, what are you going to do next? And he just comes up with stuff, because this is a brand new presentation. He gave it to the Lake Sumter group in Florida, and this is the second time he's given it, and way cool. And I imagine this will go on the Speakers Bureau list, that he could give a shortened version of this presentation to your group. And he did that with the drones presentation, and the group said, we only have half an hour. And I said, good luck with that, because he talked for 1 hour and 45 minutes during his drone presentation. We all sat there like this and nobody left. And he accommodated that group. So make use of the Speakers Bureau. Don't forget to raise your hand and to me via email and say, hey, I'd like to get involved with that. It's something I use all the time, blah, 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 blah. This is your mother speaking, and she really would like you to do that, okay?
Larry.
So thank you much. And Larry has his Well, Larry's going to tell us what he's going to do next, maybe.
I do have one final comment that I forgot to talk about. You were talking about new things to try. I used some software called ManyCam, M-A-N-Y Cam, which was brand new. And I also used something called A Power Mirror, the letter A, P-O-W-E-R, mirror. And A Power Mirror is what I use to put together all of the screenshots from my Android phone. I was able to mirror my Android phone to my computer, and then I took screenshots with a program called Sketch. So those were some new technology tricks that helped in putting together the presentation.
And wouldn't you like to have him demo some of those new technology so we don't have to try to figure out how to use it ourselves? Just saying. Margie, I'm picking on you again. You're a woman after my own heart. You have that piece of paper, pencil, and a pen right there by you so you can take notes. Went to another workshop and the person said, you know, write this down on that paper that you have next to you. And everybody kind of went, I always have paper and I have a shorthand tablet and I just flip the page and keep on writing. So when you come to one of these, think about that. It makes your life easier because our brains are full of stuff. We might not have room for that one thing that Larry or somebody mentions and we think we'll remember it and we really don't. I'm off my soapbox again. Shut us down, John.
All right. I'd like to thank Judy for helping out today with the questions and Bill for helping out with all the other stuff. And of course, Larry for sharing with us today. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you at the next time.